You open your eyes to find yourself laying on the ground outside. The sky is clear and a pretty blue, as a bird is seen floating past the sun and out of sight. Ah, what a beautiful day to be alive, ain't it? You think? Well, then you remember the reason you're on the ground in the first place. You just got knocked out by some guy that's trying to kill you, amidst a massive clan battle. You're in the Warring States period, and you're from a clan called the Uchihas. During this time, there's a lot of conflicts over land and such, between large nations that don't want to do any real fighting themselves, so they hire mercenary clans like yours to handle that whole mess. Apparently, the Uchiha clan is among the strongest in the world, only rivaled by some guys that call themselves the Senjus. So whenever one side of the fight hires you to take care of business, the other side usually hires the Senju to even out the playing field. Because of this, you're constantly seeing these fellas on the battlefield, so much so that you find yourself catching up with the same guy on the opposing side every time you battle, as casual as two guys that work together at the same office punching in for their shift. "Hey Tim, how are the kids doing?" you ask. "Doing great, Gary, thanks for asking," he responds, before you skewer him like a kebab. "Oh yeah, your name's Gary." "That's right, Gary Uchiha. You're about 25 years old, and have been fighting on the battlefield for just about as long. This is because in a time where fighting is constant, as you'd expect there's plenty of casualties, so your clan is in constant need of warriors to fill in. This means you were forced to join the fighting ranks as a young kid, who learned to fight using shuriken and other pointy metal weapons, while also learning something called ninjutsu. This is an art form that uses your life energy, aka chakra, to develop unique abilities like spitting fireballs and spitting super big fireballs. The possibilities are endless. You also have the trademark Uchiha clan eyes, called the Sharingan. Clan members have these eyes awakened, usually when you experience some serious trauma for the first time. And since you go out air frying people with fireballs for a living, there's no shortage of trauma for you. So you have your own pair of Sharingan eyes. No, these aren't just pretty contacts so people give you more attention, they serve a purpose. They give you a plethora of unique benefits, including the ability to copy other techniques, or jutsu, and makes you proficient at casting vivid illusion techniques, also known as Houdini Jutsu or Genjutsu. On top of that, you can level it up to something called the Mangekyo Sharingan, where the black spots in your eyes form a symbol, and you cry blood a little bit every time you use them. It kinda hurts, but hey, you get a cool new ability like you're some kind of Pokemon that just evolved. All you gotta do to gain it is experience the worst emotional pain in your life, really quick. Easy peasy. A small price to pay, right? Only one teeny tiny problem though. Every time you use your new eyes, you go a little bit more blind every time. No big deal though, you can solve that problem by killing someone close to you, preferably your brother or something. Then from there it's as simple as ripping out their eyes and replacing yours with theirs. Now you can use your cool power forever. But you don't care about any of that. My man Gary just wants all this fighting to stop. The only way out for you though, is if you either make it as an influencer on Instagram, or you die in battle. Unfortunately, you were born hundreds of years before cell phones, so option B it is. Thankfully, some people on both sides feel the same way as you, but don't really feel like waiting for Instagram to be created. So the two strongest members from each side, Madara Uchiha and Hashirama Senju, decide to start having some peace talks. Wow. Would have been pretty nice if you thought of this before Gary died. But hey, he has a son, you, Larry Uchiha, that'll carry on to see what happens. Fast forward a bit, and the two clans decide to make love and not war, so they form a village called Konohagakure, or the Hidden Leaf Village, since the other name's too hard to pronounce. Other clans join you, until you have a sprawling village ready to elect its first ninja president, or Hokage. When it comes time to vote, the people end up choosing Hashirama Senju, and the head of your clan, Madara Uchiha, doesn't like that very much. He starts going on about how this is the first step in them being slowly isolated from the rest of the village. You don't really care though, you're living a pretty cozy life, and don't want this guy starting a ruckus so no one listens to him, causing him to get butthurt and rage quitting the village. He comes back later to fight Hashirama, and after a giant ninja mech battle, Madara ends up being killed. Hashirama doesn't hold Madara's devious business against you guys though. On the contrary, he wants to make sure you and the rest of the Uchihas feel welcome to the party, so he tells his successor / younger brother, Tobirama, to make sure you guys are taken care of. The fact that another Senju automatically gets to take over the village over one of you guys is a little sus, you will admit, but hey, you're still chilling and it beats going to war again, so you ignore it. Fast forward a bit, and now Tobirama is officially Hokage. He wants to honor his brother's wishes, but also low-key doesn't really trust you guys. So he comes up with an idea that satisfies both those concerns. He ends up leaving the Uchihas in charge of Konoha's military police force, giving them a key role in the village. The kicker is, the police station is headquartered in a remote part of town, essentially telling them to go hammer some nails into a board that's not attached to anything, just to keep you busy. This makes it pretty impossible to hold any clout within the village, because you're so far away from everything. Okay, now things seem to be getting pretty dang fishy. But by the time you realize this, you're an old man, and you're about ready to visit the ramen shop in the sky. But before that, you tell your son Gary Uchiha to keep his eyes peeled on how the village is treating you guys. That Madara guy may have been onto something. Some more time passes, and the surrounding villages start fighting. More and more villages start getting involved, and all of a sudden it's an all-out war. The Third Great Shinobi World War. Your village is in the mix, and your clan has to battle like the good old days. You suffer a good amount of casualties, but Konoha ends up getting the upper hand in the conflict. Your clan leader, Fugaku Uchiha, in particular, was skill diffing the opponents left and right. He helps win a lot of key battles, helping the Leaf Village bring home the dub. So after the war ends, and it comes time to pick a new Hokage, you would think that your boy Wicked Eye Fugaku would have a pretty good shot at being the next man up. However, only some blonde-haired guy named Minato and a sketchy-looking guy named Orochimaru are added to the vote by the village officials. Fugaku's name doesn't even come up. So you're telling me the creepy snake dude that's low-key dissecting people in his basement looks like a winner, but our guy doesn't? You think to yourself, you are pretty pissed off. But Fugaku tells everyone to relax and not stir up any trouble, so you just try to forget about it. A few months later, the village is attacked by Ninetales, and it goes on to tear through the village. Fugaku springs into action and gathers you all to join the front lines, as your Sharingan eyes are actually a pretty good hard counter to the Ninetales. However, you get notified that they want you patrolling the outskirts of town instead, because on the very low key, they think you might have started this whole attack in the first place. They know you're still butthurt about the Hokage thing, and if you can use your Sharingan to stop the beast, who's to say you didn't start this whole mess to begin with? The village officials are playing Olympic level mental gymnastics to draw that kind of conclusion, but that's the order they gave, so Fugaku tells everyone to follow orders. The fourth Hokage, Minato, ends up taking care of the mess, and the village is saved, but at this point you're all pretty salty. You're all being treated worse and worse, and the final straw happens when you soon find out that your entire clan is being forced to move to a compound where they can keep an eye on you. They're completely convinced at this point that you brought the Ninetales attack as a first step in overthrowing the village. Finally, Fugaku's had it with all the passive-aggressive dissing going on, so he starts secretly rallying everyone to plan a coup and overthrow the village officials. He starts by implanting spies in the secret forces of the village, like his son Itachi. However, Itachi doesn't want the coup to happen, so he and his buddy Shisui try to stop the uprising. But some complete doucher named Danzo from the village council ends up thwarting the plan because he'd rather just have the entire clan wiped out. He's the type of guy that would look you right in the eyes as he cuts you off in the Taco Bell drive-thru. You know the type. True Black Air Force energy. He then gives Itachi an ultimatum. Let the coup happen and have the clan wiped out in a civil war, or wipe out the clan yourself, and in exchange, he'll let his little brother Sasuke live, so he chooses option B. By this point, your fighting years as Barry the legendary ninja are completely behind you, and you're out on a walk to pick up some milk and shuriken from Village Depot. Suddenly, this Itachi guy shows up and starts playing Fruit Ninja with every clan member he sees, and you know you can't really do much to stop him, so you end up getting sliced up like a watermelon. And so ends the Gary Uchiha bloodline, and every Uchiha bloodline for that matter, because, you know, they're all dead. You made a truce with the Senju during the Warring States period to keep your clan from getting wiped out. You kick that Madara guy from the village to keep a war from happening and getting wiped out. Then you look the other way, when the village started slowly plotting against you, so you don't start a war and get wiped out. And finally you decide enough is enough and try standing up for yourself before you get wiped out, only to get wiped out by one of your own anyway. But hey, at least Sasuke gets to survive, right? Oh, thank goodness.